In a competitive world, average won't cut it. The Success Launch Point shows you how to stand out, deliver massive value, and rise above the crowd. With on-demand courses, expert coaching, and a community focused on growth, you'll accelerate your career and your paycheck. It's time to level up. Check out modernobserver.com/launchpoint.
A step towards ending the government shutdown. The BBC manipulates footage of Trump. Consumer sentiment drops, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. The Senate voted 60-40 on Sunday night to advance a legislative measure paving the way to end the 40-day federal government shutdown and potentially reopen the government as early as this week. 8 Democrats joined Republicans to advance the measure, while a number of other Democrats, citing the lack of guaranteed Affordable Care Act extension within the bill, voted no. The measure secures a future vote on extending expiring ACA subsidies, guarantees back pay for federal workers, and blocks further layoffs. The resulting compromise package provides full fiscal year funding for military construction, veterans affairs, agriculture, and the legislative branch, while funding the remainder of the government through January 30th, 2026. Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson on Friday night temporarily halted a federal judge's order that would have required the Trump administration to make November's full SNAP food assistance payments by Friday, November 7th. Jackson said the pause will remain in effect until 48 hours after the First U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals issues a judgment on the matter. Her order didn't rule on the substance of the case. Earlier Friday, the Trump administration had announced that it was preparing to fully fund the benefits in accordance with the original lower court order, even as the Justice Department lawyers were trying to block it. Following the decision, the U.S. Department of Agriculture told states to stop attempts to distribute SNAP benefits to low-income Americans during the ongoing government shutdown. States that refuse to comply will risk financial penalties. Airlines canceled at least 1,000 U.S. flights Friday after the FAA ordered 10% flight reductions at 40 airports across the country over the next week as air traffic controllers missed a paycheck due to the government shutdown. Friday's cancellations amounted to a 4% reduction, but Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said it might get even worse, with flights reduced by as much as 20% if the shutdown drags on. If this shutdown doesn't end relatively soon, the consequences is that more controllers don't come to work, Duffy said. President Donald Trump has urged Senate Republicans to abolish Obamacare and reroute federal health care spending directly to individual Americans. In a Truth Social post Saturday morning, Trump wrote, "I am recommending to Senate Republicans that the hundreds of billions of dollars currently being sent to money-sucking insurance companies in order to save the bad health care provided by Obamacare be sent directly to the people so that they can purchase their own much better health care and have money left over." Trump says that Americans could receive a $2,000 tariff dividend. According to a Sunday morning Truth Social post, the dividend will be paid to everyone except high-income people, with Trump adding that those against tariffs are fools. The announcement came just days after the Supreme Court heard oral arguments challenging the president's broad-based tariffs. China launched its largest and most advanced aircraft carrier, the Fujian, marking a significant step forward for Beijing, which now has the world's largest navy in terms of sheer number of ships. The Fujian, which the country's third warship, is equipped with electromagnetic catapults, which allow 3 different types of planes with heavier payloads to be launched at higher speeds. The Fujian is only the second aircraft carrier in the world to use an electromagnetic catapult system, along with the latest American carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford. Most American carriers use older steam catapult technology that China has bypassed. The Director General of the BBC, Tim Davie, and the CEO of BBC News, Deborah Turnus, both resigned Sunday amid a growing scandal over the selective editing of a Donald Trump speech in the BBC's flagship investigative program, Panorama. Davie took, quote, ultimate responsibility, unquote, for, quote, mistakes made, unquote, at the public broadcaster after a leaked internal memo alleged the program used spliced clips from Trump's January 6, 2021 speech to falsely suggest he called supporters to fight like hell, omitting his actual call to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. The whistleblower's memo also revealed that the documentary showed footage of people marching on the Capitol, which was in fact recorded an hour before Trump even began his remarks, creating the misleading impression that the march was a direct response to his speech. GOP Representative Elise Stefanik is launching a run for governor in New York, blaming Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul for the state's high cost of living and tying the governor to New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani. Stefanik's 2.5-minute launch video focuses largely on affordability, and while she is a staunch ally of Donald Trump, her campaign video does not make any reference to the president. There's no question New York is facing an affordability crisis, a narrator says in Stefanik's launch video, which also features commentators calling Hochul the worst governor in America. Cornell University has agreed to pay $60 million and accept the Trump administration's interpretation of civil rights laws in order to restore federal funding and end investigations into the Ivy League school. Cornell President Michael Kolikoff announced the agreement on Friday, saying it upholds the university's academic freedom while restoring more than $250 million in research funding that the government withheld amid investigations into alleged civil rights violations. He said the government's funding freeze had stalled research, upended careers, and threatened the future of academic programs. The university agreed to pay $30 million directly to the U.S. government, along with another $30 million towards research that will support U.S. farmers. The agreement is the latest struck between President Donald Trump's administration and elite colleges he has accused of tolerating anti-Semitism and promoting far-left ideas. Trump is still locked in a standoff with Harvard, the nation's oldest and wealthiest university, and lately has tried an incentive-based approach by offering preferential access to federal funding for other schools that sign on to his political agenda. Worries over the government shutdown surged in the early part of November, pushing consumer sentiment to its lowest in more than 3 years and just off its worst level ever, according to a University of Michigan survey released Friday. The university's monthly index of consumer sentiment posted a reading of 50.3 for the month, indicating a decline of 6.2% on the month and about 30% from a year ago. Economists surveyed by Dow Jones had been looking for 53.0 after October's 53.6. Sentiment was last this low in June 2022 as inflation hovered around its highest level in 40 years. Concerns about the ongoing impasse in Washington topped consumers' fears, outweighing a boost in sentiment from new record highs in stock prices, said Survey Director Joanne Hugh. With the federal government shutdown dragging on for over a month, consumers are now expressing worries about potential negative consequences for the economy, Hugh said. This month's decline in sentiment was widespread throughout the population, seen across age, income, and political affiliation. The Farmers Almanac, a 208-year-old American institution, announced that it was ending publication with its current 2026 edition due to financial issues. Since 1818, readers have relied on the Farmer's Almanac for long-range winter forecasts and articles about crops, gardening, cooking, and home remedies. This decision, though difficult, reflects the growing financial challenges of producing and distributing the almanac in today's chaotic media environment, the company said in its official statement. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of the Raw Naked Truth Daily News Brief, as well as our sister podcast, Carnivore Radio, with news analysis and commentary, and the rest of the Exvadio podcast network at exvadio.com, the Apple Podcast app, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.